So to start out, we actually have a nice little sponsorship or nice little shout out to New Dread. Zega the barber actually got this stuff sent to him. Look at his nice little curl sponge right there, so you can look at his pretty boy self right in the mirror, in the reflection of that. And then we gotta throw in a little 1 minute blade modifier. Shout out to Chuka on that one. If you want to get your blades nice and sharp, hitting perfect lines, extra crispy like Zay the barber does. So Zay is going to do a Afro taper fade on his client. As you can see, his client did not take any care of his hair at all. Doesn't really care in between haircuts, only comes to get freshened up. First order of business to pick him out, make sure everything is all evened out for us to have a nice clean surface to work with. We don't want to be working with or try to even fade with nappy hair. Now, first step that Zay does, he creates that first bald guideline with his T-outliners, not going anywhere past maybe about 3/4 to a half an inch below the bottom of the ear. As a mid taper, you don't want to go up any higher than that. Then he goes ahead and grabs his fade masters, and his fade masters open those things up all the way and goes up about another 3/4 of an inch, maybe half an inch, 3/4 of an inch. He evens everything out, evens out all that hair, and this is the basis of his fading that's going to be throughout this whole video. He creates a guideline, opens up the blade all the way, and then starts working his way down from open guard halfway to close. Now, just listening to that seems simple enough. You're like, hey, Deluxe, why can't I fade like Zay the barber? I do those same steps. What I want you guys to focus on is all the kind of little minute details he takes. Look at the strokes that he's taking. Look at how small and precise the strokes that he's taking with that fade blade. Now, moving on, the regular masters opens that bad boy up as well and does the same thing again. Works his way all the way down from open halfway to close. And you can see, because he's a lefty, he kind of has a little bit of an advantage with just moving that notch as free flowing as he wants to, because he moves with his finger and kind of keep that flow going. But just look at how close he's getting with his clippers and not moving on to the next guard until he's satisfied with what he sees. Next, he's going to go up to his 1/16th, or known as the zero purple guard, and opens that bad boy up as well, creates his next guideline, and takes that thing out the same way we've been doing. Remember, take a look at his strokes. Watch how he is holding the blade onto the head. He's going at it at an angle. He's going at it with the sides. He's kind of digging into it, flicking out the wrist. He's doing all sorts of techniques just in order to create a fade effect that suits and it satisfies him to move on to the next step. Working with Zay and working next to him, even getting cut up by Zay, Zay will never move on to the next step of a fade until he is satisfied with what he gets. And I think that's something that a lot of barbers don't do. They kind of put it off until last minute of the fade of like cleanup work. And by the time you get done with the whole fade and you get to your cleanup work, you're already an hour in, you're running late for your next appointment. Just go ahead and get the stuff done right then and there and move on in section. You'll force yourself to become faster. You'll force yourself to make every stroke of the blade, of the clipper, the best, and not wait and just kind of slack off the whole haircut and say, oh, I'll get it later, and never actually get to it. Next, he's going to take out his ProMate trimmers and go ahead and just set in that line. Now, watch when he goes above the ear. Of course, on the neckline, we put the whole blade on, but when he goes around the ear, he's only going to use a corner of the blade. You see that right there? He uses that right corner to round out the very top of the ear. That's actually very key to get that sharp line in there and not to push or not to really cut anything else besides what you intend to cut. If you try to go with the whole entire blade on that back of the ear part, you're probably going to bald out your client or make a line where a line's not supposed to go. Of course, he's just gonna do it on the other side of the ear. Look how nice that fade is coming in. You did see him taking down the hair with the grain. That's just to make sure all that hair lays down and he doesn't push up that taper too high up on the head. Next, he just moves to the sideburn taper. He doesn't go for high tapers. He never goes above that little temple point to bald him out. For high tapers, Zay does keep these high tapers pretty nice and tight. Zay is always doing cleanup work. He'll make his initial line, go throughout his fade, and just clean and go through the levels of the fade blade and the levels of the master, actually, to make sure everything is all nice and to what his eye sees and what it fits. I remember talking to Zay one time, just asking him how his vision was for seeing how the fade comes together, and he just basically said, you know, he compared his pictures and other thing and his videos and his haircuts to other things that he would see on the internet as to what he wished his haircuts would look like, and compare the two and try to duplicate that every single cut. And you know, over time of just doing that repeatedly, and he was able to get what you guys see today as just the incredibly barred up haircuts. Now he's going with the grain again, knocking down the hair. And as you notice throughout the video as well, he's always combing out the hair, always combing, knocking down, combing, fading, combing out the hair. That's just to make sure all the hair is going in the right direction that he wants it to go, and the hair is laying down the direction that he needs it to be laying down in order to execute a good fade, a nice good sharp fade. I think too many times we kind of just push around the hair and we say, it looks good enough, but when the client goes home, he's gonna take a shower, gonna mess up his hair. That hair is gonna be combed out eventually, so you want to make sure it's gonna be looking the best it is when it does get combed out. So always be combing out the hair. It'll comb out the little curls and show any other imperfections or areas that you need to be hitting. Now he's gonna go, he's working his way back down, just cleaning up the haircut again, any imperfections, kind of going through anything his eye sees that he's not happy with or satisfied with. However, he's gonna go ahead and clean up. Now he's just going back through it again now, and see, he was taking this 2 guard before to lay the hair down. I think that was a 1 guard to go ahead and lay the hair down, and he's actually going to take that same 1 guard. He's going to go across the hairline, knock off that little front part of the hairline to make sure there's nothing like kind of curling back up into the top of the head, so he's not going to get mistaken. And he's gonna make sure that hairline, like I said before, is gonna be combed out, all the imperfections combed out, so he gets that thing nice and sharp. So when his client goes home, takes a shower, gets out of the shower, there's no curls hanging down that he had missed. He's combing, he's making sure everything he can see, and giving his client the best and sharpest haircut as possible. Still just always combing out the hairline, combing, and he's gonna start from the middle and work his way to the outside. Now when we do go to the other side of this haircut, he's only gonna do 1 line side by side, but he actually does go from the outside in. Now if you look at the hair on this side and the hair growth, it probably fits best to work his way from that middle of the hairline to the outside. And you'll see when we get a closer view of the other side, as he starts this other side of the taper, you'll see when he starts this side of the lineup how the hair grows in a different direction, and going in the opposite direction of the hair growth actually creates the sharper hairline. I'm just going ahead, and every single time he makes a guideline, it's always going to be going up about 3/4 of an inch up, and then working his way back down again, and then going through those levers again, playing with the lever until he's able to create that nice and tight fade where there's no lines, there's no dark spots left behind, even probably going even guards below than what he has set his guideline to. And if you notice kind of the flow with the high tapers, he doesn't just go fading straight up on the high tapers. You kind of notice it has a little bit of an angle going to like the crown of the head. It's not just going straight up to the top of his head, and that's very key as well. You know, whenever you're doing a high taper, you don't just want to start fading up. You kind of want to go with the flow of the head, with the flow of that sideburn lineup as well, and kind of make everything all nice in unison. Alright, so now we're going to see how he lines up. Like I said, he's going to start from the outside going in, and notice in the direction that he's pulling. He's not pulling straight down, he's kind of pulling down and to the right. When we get a closer view of this, you're going to see this hairline, his natural hair growth is going to the left. So that actually creates like a sharper line because he's pulling away from the hair. He's pulling that hair down and away and just cutting that hair nice and as sharp as possible. Especially because he has modified blades. Shout out to Chuka on that one again. Chuka gets a nice little promotional shout out before and during the video. Now he's gonna take down that beard nice and even with the 1 guard and start fading him out. He did take this fade a little bit. It's more of a beard fade than is a beard taper, because he does kind of brings it below the ear a little bit. Always combing out, even with the beard, he's combing everything out, make sure everything's all nice and even, making sure, you know, his client doesn't have like the most full beard, but he is taking everything down around that chin area to make sure it matches up where the cheeks are at. Some clients aren't going to have the most full beards. If you can work with your client, work with whatever your client has to be able to give him that look he desires, like Zay actually does here, it executes well here. Now he's gonna start lining them up. Look how he's hitting that mustache as well with the blade. Watch how what parts of the blade he's using. He's kind of just using like that edge of the blade and working his way up to the nose. Same thing around here. He's kind of dragging that line all the way up. When he's doing the beard line, he's never really like pushing the line down. He's always pulling up or kind of gliding that blade across. Now we're just gonna go ahead and shape up the afro right up top and kind of take down a little hair, make sure everything's evened out. If you notice how he's evening him out, he's not digging in with that top of the blade where the teeth of the blade are at. He's kind of laying that back side of the blade on top of the hair and letting everything kind of flow into the teeth of the blade, and kind of taking it nice and slow. He's not rushing this either. He's kind of taking it nice and slow and almost shaving the top. He's not really digging in and cutting down. Think of when you're shaping an afro, you're just shaving it down piece by piece, and always check the mirror to make sure the shape is what you desire it to be and it fits your client's head. Next, he's going to straight razor him down, always pulling the skin tight in the opposite direction of which he is straight razor blading his client in to make sure he doesn't cut him. That's also a big key, just due to the fact that a lot of people, you know, they don't really pull the skin so tight. They wonder how people can get such nice sharp lines with a straight razor without cutting people. You got to be able to pull your client's skin nice and tight. I think your client rather have his skin pulled tight than go home and get in the shower and have that sting and that burn because you cut him all up because you didn't want to pull his skin tight enough. Now he's just gonna go ahead and take his new dread curl, put the product on. This product actually made his hair look real nice. I actually did, like, I might have to steal that off your station a couple times. Hey, don't get mad at me though. I know you always be stealing my next strips, but I might have to steal this new dread for a couple of my clients. Takes out that nice and shiny reflective curl sponge, and notice how he's curling them up too. The way Zay curls, he's always going to be curling and lifting up. Curl, and lift up. And that kind of gives it a little bit more bounce to the curls, gives the curls a little more life. They're not so tight and compact on the head. It gives it more of a nice liveliness to the curls, and I think it's a nice look. And like I said, it's a good product that he used on his client. Now you look at that nice sharp high taper. That lineup is crisp, but to make sure this thing pops even more, Zay's gonna use, of course, Chuka's brand, part of the Rich Barber products, Enhance. So he's gonna go ahead and spray the Enhance on. Gonna lay it on nice and evenly. He's not going up too close. He's not pressing too hard on that top applicator to make sure he sprays all the hair fibers nice and evenly on. So kind of nice mist on the head instead of spraying on. With hair fibers, Zay always tells me when he to use his hair fibers, you know, hair fibers are really like an art form when you spray these things, because, you know, a lot of people, everybody thinks they can do them. Not many can do them correctly though. And Zay is one of the very few that I have seen use hair fibers correctly, for the fact that he doesn't spray too much on, but he sprays enough on to where you see a difference in the cut. And he just nice and lightly mists that thing on and takes his time. He doesn't rush this process. You don't ever want to rush an enhancement because you're gonna mess up if you do. And anytime he sprays a little bit too much on, he's always gonna take that comb, knock any little excess off, and you always want to go back over that line and re-hit his lineup after you do use enhanced hair fibers, just to make sure it's just as sharp. And of course, got another little promotion. Chuck, you get so many promotions, these damn things. He gets the 1 minute blade modifier, little pop-up right there. We might have to add a little ding or something in there. He switches back to his Andis T outliners. These are bread and butters, of course. Then he's gonna go ahead and hit the beard as well. See, he's kind of getting on the beard line. He's not spraying them too dark. He's nice and misting them in and kind of filling in any lighter spots that his client's beard does have to make sure it looks all nice and even. Doesn't look like it's too much. It just looks just enough to make him pop and to make him stand out. And that's the end of the fade right there. That's fading with Zay. That's Zay's techniques. That's things I wanted to highlight on this Rich Barber mixtape video with Zay. Of course, his techniques might be advanced. They're definitely advanced, but you definitely need to be working with making sure that you don't move on to the next things until you are satisfied with what you get and what product you put out. That does it for this Rich Barber mixtape featuring Zay the Barber. You can go ahead and follow Zay the Barber on Instagram. You can go follow him on YouTube. Appreciate y'all watching this. Hopefully you guys picked up on some new techniques, and hopefully you guys got a lot of value from this video. We got a lot more coming, so stay tuned.